Hi everyone, so today's video is going to be a video all about books that are very fast-paced for slow readers. Now the reason why I'm making this video now is because October is Dyslexia Awareness Month and I'm dyslexic and therefore I'm a slow reader. So yeah, I love fast-paced books and I just wanted to give you guys some recommendations for fast-paced books if you're also dyslexic or if you're just like a slow reader. So yeah, let's get straight into the recommendations, I guess. So the first two books I'm gonna recommend are two middle grade books, which middle grade books are usually very fast-paced books. So a couple more books on this list will be middle grade. I'm sorry if that's not a genre you like reading, but if you're looking for like fast-paced books, middle grades are usually very fast. So yeah. The first two books that I'm going to mention are Melissa and Rick. Now, Melissa is actually a book that is actually called George, but that is the dead name of the trans girl that is in this book. That's what the book is about, and the author has since said that they would like if people change the name of this book to like Melissa, even if the cover doesn't say it. I'm actually planning on trying to change it somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. Maybe just making like a cover for it that says Melissa in this like rainbow like theme. But yeah, this and Rick, the other book, is also a very fast-paced book. They also have great representation. This has trans representation like I already mentioned, and Rick has asexual representation. So yeah, then the next book that I'm going to recommend is actually a classic. Now I know the second I say classic, you're going to go, classics are not fast-paced books because they read very slow usually because of the like language that they use. But I promise you this one actually is fast-paced in my opinion, and that is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. I don't know how fast it reads in like book form, but in audiobook it's quite fast. It has a very fast-paced story because it is quite a linear story, because it follows the main character throughout his life, because he's basically born as an old man and he dies as like a baby basically. Yeah, it follows his life, but it's very fast-paced in my opinion. Otherwise I wouldn't put it on this list. So yeah, if you're like, I don't want to read classics because they're too slow, this one is actually quite fast in my opinion. So yeah, give it a try if you want to. The next book I'm going to recommend, I feel like people should have seen this coming because I recommend this book in basically every single video that I can recommend it in, and that is A Kind of Spark. Now this book is very fast-paced. I'm not lying about that, just to include in this video. It is fast-paced. It's also quite short. And it is again a middle grade. I think it's a middle grade. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a middle grade as well. So yeah, it's very fast paced in my opinion. It also has great representation with an autistic main character, and I'm not gonna talk more about this book because I've talked about it too much on my channel already. So just read it if you want a fast paced book with an autistic main character. So yeah, putting this book down now, even though I want to keep holding it. The next book I'm going to recommend is A Quiet Kind of Thunder. Now this book I would say is one of the slower paced books on this fast paced list. It's still fast paced, but a little bit slower than the other ones because it is not like middle grade or something like that. And it is not particularly short either. It's not long either, but it's not too short. But I feel like it does read quite fast because you get through the story quite fast. It progresses really fast. So yeah, if you want like a story that is fast paced but not too fast paced, and again has great representation because there is a character who's deaf and uses sign language, and another character who is actually the main character who is selectively mute like me. So yeah, again, this is not too fast-paced, but I feel like it's still fast-paced enough that I can put it on this list. So yeah, Then the next book is actually a book I don't think I've talked about a lot, which is a shame because I really liked it. But that book is We Are Okay. Now, this book is, again, quite short, and it is quite fast-paced. The topic of it is a bit difficult to read about. I have a couple more books like that where they're fast-paced books, but because of the topic, it can feel a bit slower. But I feel like this is still quite fast-paced because of the length mainly. And as you can tell by the amount of tabs, this book is a book that I really enjoyed. And yeah, it is, like I said, fast-paced. I don't know how many times I have to repeat that. This is literally a video about fast-paced books, so fast-paced and very pretty cover. And also has sapphic representation. The reason why I say sapphic is because I don't remember what their sexualities were, but they are two girls. So yeah, fast-paced book with sapphic representation and very beautifully written with a difficult topic. Speaking about a book with a difficult topic that is still quite fast-paced, obviously, because of that I have to mention 1,000 Perfect Notes. Now this book, the subject of this is very heavy. Like it's very heavy, very difficult to get through sometimes, but it's still quite fast-paced in my opinion. Because I feel like because of the subject you just kind of have to continue reading because you want to know what happens. So yeah, fast-paced book with very sad story, but it's a necessary story. Plus the author of this book is autistic, so yeah, who doesn't love a book by an autistic author, right? Speaking of books by autistic authors, the next book that I'm gonna mention is Queens of Geek. This book is quite fast-paced, I would say, even though it does look a bit intimidating considering it's a bit bigger than other books, but the font is actually quite big, so it is quite a fast read in my opinion. It can be a bit slower at times, but I feel like because of the way it's written, it's quite a fast-paced book. But like with one of the other books, this is one of the more slower-paced books of this list of fast-paced books. But it is still, again, fast-paced, but just a little bit slower. But it is very good and very cute and has great representation of basically everything. So yeah. So I just checked the footage of this video because I have to like stop in between to make sure it's still filming. And I'm really sorry my hair looks so bad. Like I said, I had physical therapy yesterday and I can't like wash my hair after physical therapy again. So that's why it looks like this and it looks so like frizzy. I'm really sorry about that. I'm trying to make it look better by like grabbing it and like putting it in a better position, but it doesn't seem to work that well, so just ignore it. Just ignore it. So yeah, just don't pay attention to my hair. Just don't. So the next book I'm gonna mention is a book that probably a lot of people mention when they talk about fast-paced books, and that is We Were Liars. Yeah, this book is very fast-paced. I can't really say anything else about it because this is one of these books where you have to read it without knowing anything about it because it's kind of like a mystery. It's also very short, as you can kind of tell by the fact that there's no like sticky notes. I didn't love this book when I read it like a second time, like a month ago I think. It's just one of those books where like you can't tab anything as like very, you know, very intriguing or like interesting or like something worth tabbing. I feel like this book doesn't have that because you're so caught up on like what's happening. So yeah, I still recommend this book as a very fast-paced book, and especially if you haven't read it yet, because it is quite interesting when you read it the first time. It just kind of like loses its spark when you reread it. So yeah, the next book is Forgive Me, Leonard Peacock. Now this book has a very difficult subject. If you want to know what the subject is, you can like look it up, because I don't know if I can say it on YouTube without getting like my video taken down. But yeah, it has a very difficult subject, but it is quite good actually. I didn't expect it to go in the direction that it did, but I really appreciated that. Yeah, this is again one of those slower paced books on this list, even though it is fast paced. It's mainly fast paced because you just want to know what happens, and you're so like anxious almost that you just have to know. And because of that, you read it quite fast. So I wouldn't say it's a very fast paced book. It just kind of forces you to read it very fast. So yeah, I recommend it, but look up like the trigger warnings for this book. And if you actually look up the trigger warnings for this book, you'll get why I find it quite interesting that it's called a trigger warning. Not me trying to joke about this book, it's not working. Anyway, on to the next book. The next book has a much lighter subject, not too light still, but it's still a bit of a lighter subject, and that is Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. Now, this book is extremely popular, so I'm sure you must have heard about it. I reread it recently, and I actually didn't really hate it when I reread it. Like, I was not expecting to hate it when I reread it, but I also wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. It wasn't a 5-star book anymore when I reread it, but yeah, it still had some pretty good like things in it that I really appreciated it for. So yeah, this is quite a fast-paced book because of the way it's written. Like, the language makes it very fast-paced, also because there's a lot of emails in this book, and usually emails are faster to read. So yeah, I'm not going to talk more about this book because basically everyone knows what this book is about because there's a movie about it. So yeah, read it if you haven't read it yet, I guess. Now, obviously, I have to mention the next book because it actually has dyslexia representation, which is the whole theme of this video, like a video for Dyslexia Awareness Month. And these books have dyslexic characters, and I think you can probably already guess which books they are, but they are Percy Jackson. Now, this is the first book. There are 5 of them, I think. Don't come at me if they're not 5, if there's like more than 5. But the main series, I think, has 5 books. And from what I remember, these books are quite fast-paced, mainly because the characters are dyslexic. And I feel like because of that, the target audience is also dyslexic people who want to read. I read this series a couple years ago, and I didn't tab it, as you can tell. But I feel like I want to reread it just to see if I would still like it. I think I would, but just to see and like to tab it, obviously. So yeah, dyslexic representation, great books to read if you're dyslexic, which I'm pretty sure most people who watch this video have already read these books. So yeah, I'm gonna stop holding it now. Now I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from holding up physical books because my hands are really starting to hurt. So I'm just gonna mention some books that I also own, but I couldn't find them for some reason. So yeah, that's great. It's me losing books for some reason. I'm pretty sure I didn't lose them. I think I just put them behind my other books and I didn't bother to check there. So yeah, so the first book is called Speak. Now, this book is very popular as well, very well known because it has a movie, and the movie is quite popular, I think. I remember watching it when I was quite young, which I probably shouldn't have watched it when I was that young considering the subject, but still, it's quite a good book. It's quite a fast read because of the way it was written, but because of the way it was written, it also kind of pulls you out of the story a bit. So the writing makes it fast-paced, but the writing also makes it slow-paced. Like, it's kind of both. And I think it depends on the person whether they think the writing makes it a bit slower-paced because it pulls you out of the book. Maybe if you read it, it won't pull you out of the book, but with me it did, but I still really liked it. And yeah, I hope I can actually find this book again because I really liked the color of tabs I used in that book, and I thought it looked really pretty, and now I can't find it. So that's really sad. On to the next book. So the next book is A Monster Calls. Now, I own the illustrated version of this book, so I don't know if the actual book without the illustrations reads fast. I don't even know what it looks like. But the illustrated version reads quite fast for the heaviness of the subject. Like, the subject is very heavy, but because of the illustrations and the way it's written, it makes it a very fast-paced book. Even though you read it slowly on purpose because you kind of just want to take everything in, especially with the drawings. So yeah, I don't know if the actual book without the illustrations is fast-paced, but the illustrated one is fast-paced, and that's the one that I own. So yeah. Then the next book is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Now, this book is once again a very heavy book. The topic is very heavy and it's quite difficult to read because of that, but it is quite a small book. I can't show you how small because again, I can't find the book. But yeah, it is quite a fast-paced book, but the topic makes it a bit slower paced. So yeah, just read that book without expecting you to like fly through it. That's not going to happen. You're going to read it slowly and you're going to cry. So that's such a great way to like recommend that book. Just like, yeah, it's fast paced, but it makes you cry. And who doesn't want that, right? Anyway, moving on to the next book. I feel like I'm getting through these books very fast, but I want to stop filming because I'm in pain and I think I look ugly today, so yeah. So the next book I actually have to reread still because I want to see if I find the disability representation good, because when I read it, I didn't really consider myself disabled yet. So yeah, that book is Wonder. Now this book, I'm not going to talk about it too much because it's very popular. Once again, it has a movie where an able-bodied kid plays a disabled main character. We love that. Yeah, I want to see if I still like this book as much as I did when I read it for the first time. I don't know when I will reread this because it is quite like big for the book that it is, but in my opinion it was quite fast-paced when I read it. It would be one of these like slower books. Once again, it is still quite fast-paced, but a bit slower than other books. So yeah. Then the next book is Two Boys Kissing. Now this book is very fast-paced because it is quite small, but it's also very heartbreaking and a lot better than I expected it to be. Like, this book is quite well known, I think, in my opinion, and I didn't expect it to be this good. Like, I thought it was one of those like overhyped books, but it isn't. Like, I really enjoyed it. It was very fast-paced, it was very heartbreaking. The writing was really good, but still quite easy to get through. Yeah, I recommend it. Then the next book is a book that is actually going to have a TV show or a movie. I don't know which one, but it's going to have one of those. And so because of that, obviously it's very popular. I don't actually remember that this book was fast-paced, but I saw a lot of people mentioning it. So yeah, that book is One of Us is Lying. Like I said, I don't remember that this book was fast-paced because I don't really remember reading it, anything about it really. So yeah, apparently it's fast-paced. I'm gonna reread it to find out if that's true. I don't know when I'm gonna reread it, but I'll reread it someday. Then next is once again a very popular book with a movie that a lot of people love, and that is of course The Perks of Being a Wallflower. This book is very well known. It's fast-paced in my opinion, and I really like it. Like you can probably tell from the tabs, I've reread this book probably like 4 times, which says something about how much I like it. Even though the subject is quite heavy, I still really like it. Now that I'm talking about it, I kind of want to reread it again, but I'm not going to do that because I need to actually read a book this month and I haven't yet, and that's really concerning. So yeah, this book is fast-paced, it's quite short, very popular, has a movie. I don't think I need to say anything else. Then finally, we're at the last book of this list, which is great because I'm in a lot of pain, and I also just realized I haven't taken my medication yet, and I was supposed to take it like 2 hours ago, so we're doing great. The last book on this list is a book that I recently read, and that is Pets. I wanted to read this book for a very long time because I heard very good things about it. I was actually quite sad when it arrived because I wanted the other cover, and on the advertisement for this book, it had the other cover, but they sent me this one, which made me a bit sad because I don't really like this one because it's like shimmery. I don't like it. It still looks pretty, but I like the other one way more. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about me recommending fast-paced books for slow readers. So this is a fast-paced book. It's also very short, and it's also extremely beautifully written in my opinion. It's also very atmospheric, which I don't know if that's how you pronounce that word, but I've been trying to pronounce it like 10 times now, and I don't know how to pronounce it because my brain's slowly wasting away from sitting here in pain and continuing to film. So I'm just gonna end this video here with saying fast-paced book. It's very good. It also has good representation, specifically trans representation. So yeah. So finally, we're at the end of this video. I'm so glad this is over. I wasn't planning on filming 2 videos today, but I decided to do it anyway because I don't know when I'm gonna have time to film, so I need to pre-film some videos. I also just want to say that this is the first time that I wear like this shirt, and I feel like this part of it looks extremely dark, which I wish it was more see-through like it is here. I don't know if I'm making sense with that, but I feel like it looks quite weird. I think it might also be like my face mask kind of blends into it, and I don't think that looks very good, but I'm not willing to take the face mask off, so you know, I'll just have to deal with the way that this looks, I guess. But yeah, this was the end of the video. I hope that if you are a slow reader, whether it's because of dyslexia or something else, I hope you got some recommendations, and I hope that if you are dyslexic, I hope you have a good Dyslexia Awareness Month. So yeah, if you have like more recommendations for, you know, books with dyslexic characters, put them in the comments. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you consider subscribing, and bye.